Hey there, everybody. Thank you so much once again for hanging out with us on Todd-versations. I am thrilled to have you here. I am thrilled with my guest. This is going to be a cool day. I am super, super pumped about this. These guys are doing some amazing stuff. And just give you a little highlight before I introduce Karen. You know, I talk all the time about inspiration on this show. I talk about uplifting brands and ideas and people and trying to inspire people every day. And I am telling you, at the end of this, if we have not accomplished that, give me a holler. We'll get you some CPR. We'll figure out a way to make you, figure out a way to solve that puzzle, because these guys are absolutely at the top of the list of people that inspire me and are doing things that are so big and so grand. This is going to be a fun day. So I'm glad you're here. Please, everybody, give it up for the co-mastermind of Archis Acres and Archis Institute for Sustainable Agriculture. Please welcome Karen Archipley. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
Oh, it's mine. I'm telling you. Before we get going and I get started with my 9,000 questions in our conversation today, we and I have been going back and forth and talking a bit, and your work is just so inspiring. Like I said in the opening, it's just killer. I love it. I'm so excited about this conversation. Highlight of the week for me by far. And I want to give everybody a little frame of what we're talking about with Archis Acres. Okay, just real quick, let me throw some awards at just everybody so we get you up to speed. The Obama administration gave them the champion for veteran entrepreneurship. They're the Organic Trade Association Rising Star Award, Martha Stewart for American Makers, and number 93 on Fast Company's Top 100 Most Creative People. Guys, these people are doing some killer stuff, and we're going to talk about it today. So again, thank you for being here. I'm super stoked. So let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit, if you wouldn't mind. Let me get people up to speed on Karen and who she is and what's going on. Then we're going to get deeper into the weeds about, I made a farming joke, deeper in the weeds. I'm on fire today. We'll get into a little bit deeper about what's going on. But tell everybody a little bit about your journey and who you are.
All right. Well, my name is Karen Archipley, and thank you for that lovely introduction. My husband and I co-founded Archis Acres in 2005. We were certified organic in 2007. And it was just in 2005, we bought the farm, and it was right as my husband was leaving for his third tour in Iraq. So as he came back in 2006, we built our first greenhouse, and the immediate thing was to certify organic our farm. And mostly it's because we're organic consumers. So we wouldn't grow something that we wouldn't eat to feed you.
Right. I love it. I love that.
So that's how we started. And that's been a long time. It's been a long journey, and we've learned a lot, and we definitely love what we do.
Well, the world's changed a lot since back then, way back then, as we say. Yeah. As you get older, you say way back then. When you're younger, you say next week. It's weird. Or last week. It's weird. But, and I know that you talked briefly a little bit. You touched on Colin, being deployed and serving our country. And Archis is doing some amazing thing with vets, which we're going to get into, which, by the way, a little red, white, and blue I'm wearing today because I'm supporting, and I love it. And I love vet issues, and I love talking about them. But let's just get to how did this idea come around? Because not everybody just wakes up and goes, hey, by the way, let's just start farming, right? It's not like a Tuesday morning having a cup of coffee going, let's go start this tomorrow. So how did the idea come about?
Well, it was actually when we bought this property. It's right behind Camp Pendleton, and Colin still had a year of service to go. And he, out of his 4 years in the military, which is a really short time, he was mostly in Iraq. And so The idea was we would purchase this farm, he would do his third tour, and he'd be able to come home at night. And we had this idea that we would go into real estate. So I was going to do mortgage loans. I was queen of the 30-year fixed. Everybody thought I rode my horse to work. And then Colin was going to actually sell houses. And I'm just going to say the disconnect between the civilian population and the military population on the fact that there was a war going on was so big that there was no way that Colin could just slip right into being a real estate agent. Wow. So instead, we became a hydro organic farm because of our first water bill. And that was, I moved on. Colin left September 5th to go back to Iraq. Wow. I moved on to the farm on October 17th. And my marching orders was to make sure that the avocado trees were fed. And with our first water bill, we were expecting it to be $50. That's what they discussed with us. And we're thinking, LA, it's $40 every other month. So $50 a month, we can handle that. Well, it was $850.
I forgot a digit on that one.
That's right. And what happened is Colin, being in Iraq, he'd be out 10 days on mission and he'd come back for 3 days. And first thing he did is look to see if he's been paid and then what's going on with his money. And he called me from Iraq and he's like, $850. Did you pay the water bill for the next 2 years? Right. And I said, no. I said, that was our first water bill. That is the moment we became a sustainable farm.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
In that moment, Colin being in Iraq, he's like, okay, water is a major thing that could really take us under. And that's when he started looking at a hydroponic.
Right.
And he said, no, we could actually do this hydroponically. And for me, my only prerequisite is that we would do it organically.
Right.
And so basically from that moment on, I started getting all these books, that he would order, and I'd put him in his care package every week, go back to Iraq. And he was, honing in on organic farming and what does that entail? And so that's really how we came together. The name Archis Acres is because Colin was known as Archie in the military. And when he came home, we're all so grateful, right? He made 3 tours. He's a rifleman.
Yeah.
As he separated, just grateful that he was still alive. And so as we were naming our farm, we're like, why not Archie's Acres? And it stuck, and we love it.
It's awesome. I think it's great. So with that being said, let's get everybody up to speed. Let's tell everybody what is Archie's Acre. Let's tell them exactly what you're doing.
So we're a small scale hydro organic farm. And
right.
So we grow basil. We were known for basil for years. We now grow basil, cucumbers, tomatoes, lettuce, spinach. I think that's everything we have growing right now.
That's plenty to do.
Then we have some tree fruits.
Right. That's plenty to do. So let's talk a little bit about hydroponics for those that don't know. Let's get up to speed and talk about what it is. And I think we could probably have a long conversation about what's going on in the space, which I'm sure we'll touch into. But tell everybody what hydroponic is, and not only that, but kind of how, if there's some different, or give kind of from your perspective how it's working on your farm too.
Well, we actually, we use the NFT system, which is, you can see behind me in my photo.
Right.
And that's nutrient film technique. And so hydroponics is actually, hydro is water and ponics is work, right? That's what the name actually means. And it's actually been around since 600 BC. So with hydro organic growing, basically, we grow up to 90% less water with 3 to 5 times the crop. Now, what that means is, like in basil, if I was growing basil in the ground, we live in San Diego, the weather is perfect, we would have 7 to 9 crop turns a year.
Right.
Well, with hydro organic, we actually have 17 to 20 crop turns per year. So it's really an amazing way to feed your community. With tomatoes, it's been a real eye opener. Tomatoes with 1/10 of the water you would normally use, right, up to 90% less, you get 8 to 10 times the crop. And so therein lies, I think, a lot of the issues that other people have with it. It's because it's actually using nature to produce good food and feed our community.
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, when you look at what it is, to your point, you're not working against Mother Nature, you're working with Mother Nature, and it works. And 600 BC, let's be honest, 600 BC is not yesterday. So this is not, we're not reinventing the wheel. The wheel was already invented before the wheel, right? So this technology has been around through a lot of different cultures and is making a difference. It's feeding people, right? And the fact that you guys are organic is plus, right? I mean, why not get all the food we can to people as safe and as efficiently and as well as healthy as we possibly can, my opinion. So,
here's one tidbit I'll say just to blow your mind for a visual. Hydroponics is everywhere you look in nature. Anytime you see a leaf that pools up with water and pours into a different part of a plant, that's a form of hydroponics. True.
Very true. I mean,
it's the history of the world.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, if you take a look, you're absolutely right. It's a great way of looking at it. And the nice thing is it makes it really real when you say it like that, right? Because most people think of all they think of is glass. In a lot of ways, some big giant glass building. It's not that necessarily that way. And to your point about something you said earlier, what you guys are doing is feeding your community. That's a very big, bold statement that people need to recognize. Is how are you being fed in your communities? Where's your food coming from? And this is a part of that solution to try to help us move forward in a safer, more effective manner. Let's talk a little bit about it. And I know we touched on it, but let's get into it and let's get it on the table. Tell me a little bit about the debate right now. It's regarding, alternative growing methods used to produce, organic fruits and vegetables like what you're doing.
Thanks for joining the Todd-versation. And now, a word from our sponsor.
Hi, I'm Karen Archipley, President and CEO of Moxie Marketing. On behalf of all the Moxers worldwide, thanks for listening to Todd-versations and Todd Bits. At Moxie, we're known for strategic marketing and PR, unique branding and packaging, award-winning web and graphic design, and trade show experiences that generate results. Whether you're selling B2B or B2C, a farmer, processor, commodity board, retailer, food service, or somewhere else on the supply chain, we make it easier to grow your brand and your business. From avocados to zucchini and petunias to protein, we help you tell your story, stand out, and achieve your goals. Get Moxie, and together we'll celebrate your success.
Well, it's kind of a sad thing, actually, because I think it doesn't speak highly about the organic industry. There is a big controversy that the magic is in the soil. But I'm going to say that, after, Secretary Vilsack had the hydroponic task force. My husband served on that. Colin was there. We had the biggest brains, academia, and then you had scientists. Right. And they really proved that this is a very viable way to grow food, where you can grow a mass amount of food in a very small footprint. And the controversy comes from those that perhaps may not, I don't know if that they just don't believe that they're going to have their market share. Like they're afraid that we're going to sell a tomato to someone that they should have trucked it across the country to. I don't know. I think a lot of it is market share. And, truthfully, I did call the person that had started this controversy, and without getting into names, I just said, hey, we're the people that keep you up at night, and I want to invite you to our farm, because I really believe that an organic farmer can walk on another farm and know what they're doing in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I said, please come see us, because not only do we bear close inspection, but we teach it.
Right.
And what the person said to me was, what do you grow? And I said, well, we're primarily known for basil. And he said, that's okay. Just don't grow tomatoes.
Right. Well, yeah,
and
it was some of it.
Super disappointing, because if somebody actually had a question as to the validity of what we were doing, or they had an issue with a certain procedure that we were doing, I would almost understand that, because then you can explain it and you can say, well, let me invite you in and you can see what we do. Mm-hmm. But to say it's market share and to really have a selfishness that, we want, I'm with CCOF, right? That's our organic certifier.
Right.
I serve on the board there. I will tell you, our motto is that we want a world where organic is the norm. How do we do that?
Right.
If we're fighting over who gets to grow.
Right. Well, that's it.
That's what it comes down to.
Well, and I think, and let's touch on this lawsuit that's out there right now, that's now in appeal out here in California. I don't think people recognize that, cut to the chase, the way the lawsuit's written, everything in the greenhouse is gone. So I'm just not just what you're doing, but you're talking about the tomatoes, the bell peppers, the cucumbers, the mushrooms, the leafy greens, containered stuff. So like blueberries, a lot of blueberries organically, especially in Mexico, are grown in containers. They're gone. It's going to set the organic industry back 30 years. And the logic behind it, which I am a soilist, don't get me wrong. I get it. We're not going to survive without soil. We have to have it. We got to take care of it. We've already screwed it up enough. Organic's still working hard at fixing it. We got a lot of people that need to work hard on fixing their soil above and beyond what the organic community is doing. The debate to me really comes down to understanding where they're at. You're right. It is about market share. It's about capitalism. It's a conscious capitalism. I don't know. Let's debate that. But I struggle with the fact that we are not talking about how we are going to feed 9.8 billion people by 2050 good food. And I think that's where this argument loses its wind, is because nobody wants to sit down with a 6-pack of beer and a couple of pizzas and talk this thing through and say, why is this so difficult? It's hard for me to understand the discord, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about that. I mean, why do you think there's so much discord about this when you have these growing solutions that are feeding communities?
Well, I mean, my only reference I can really draw back to is that first phone call. And I asked that person for the name of their farm.
Right.
And here on their front page was rows of container production.
Yeah.
And I said, whoa, you're growing hydroponically. And they're like, what? And so, I think it's people that tried it and didn't understand it. And instead of asking for help, they said, you can't do it. If I can't do it, you can't do it.
Well,
and I think, sadly, I think that's kind of what it comes down to.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I mean, look, it's coming. This kind of technology is coming. It's not going away. It's $2 billion
It's on the
of
moon.
investment money. It's moved. I've had NASA on. NASA
Right.
started this, right? NASA's one of the first. They did it in a Mercury capsule. I had NASA on talking about growing food in space and what it's going to take. So, it's coming. It's not going to go away. And I think that we have to recognize the food matters and healthy food matters.
Yeah.
And,
and it should be accessible.
It should be. And I look, if being able to utilize this technology and put organic food in food deserts around this planet, pick a country in Africa where it's not going to benefit. How about fresh produce in the Middle East where these guys can't get fresh lettuce? Right. All of that matters to the health of this planet, one way or another. And it may not directly affect you because you don't live in the UAE, but it still affects the planet that you live on over here. Yeah. And I think we have to be cognizant of that. I mean, so, with that being said, and we can berate on about what it is and back and forth. I think we're both on the same page, and hopefully people get a clear understanding of what the outcome of this potentially could be and dig deeper into why, the motivation behind it. But why is it important for you to be organic? I mean, I think the $100 question is like, because you don't have to be, right? You could wake up and say, screw it, I don't want to go through this hassle. I don't want to figure this out, because you had to figure it out, right? Delivering nitrogen to your system is not the easiest thing to do in the world. Feeding a plant, organically and trying to do it's not easy. I know it's not, right? It's a challenge. So why does it matter?
I'm just going to say again, I'm an organic consumer. When I shop, I'm buying organic. And if I'm a grower, I'm going to grow organically. And to me, I'm going to say, it takes a lot of work to be organic. And so of course I'm going to have that label, mean, I'm going to say that we earn it every day.
Yeah.
And we're proud of it. And we're part of the people that make sure that it means something.
Yeah.
And I would have to say that if I thought somebody was doing something wrong, I would show up and I'd have a list and I'd say, show me this, show me that.
Right.
Nobody did that. And this whole controversy, we invited all of the people on the organic task force to our farm. They couldn't get out of here fast enough. They didn't want to see it working. But I'm going to say for myself, I am proudly organic.
Yeah.
I eat organic. I believe that organic is a lifestyle. I think organic is when you actually care about each other and you care about our rivers, our streams, our oceans. I mean, we're guests on this planet. I think we need to take care of it. And then what are we leaving for our kids or their kids? And so for me, organic encompasses all of that.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because, it is organic. I say it all the time. I've been saying it for years. It's a morals and values category. It's one that touches people in multiple ways. Unlike, I hate to say it, but hey, paper towel guys, you're just never going to get that kind of juice, right? And it's important that we lean into that. It's important that we recognize, again, the food and its importance. But, you touch on something, and I want to come back around on it. When you think about morals and values, less water, no runoff, less pesticides, closer to home, less carbon footprint, less road miles, food safety,
Correct.
go through the whole gamut of different stuff, right? It is literally a part of that gold standard that we hold organic to. The problem that scares me, though, is that if we don't embrace this as an industry, those same attributes can be used by people that aren't farming organic, and that is going to dilute the organic message as well as promote theirs. Because people, less water, no pesticides, those guys can say that even though they're using conventional fertilizer, even though it's not organically grown. Beyond Organic is a label that's floating out there now. They're not organic, but they're beyond it now. It's dangerous, and the organic industry needs to recognize they're going to lose more by turning their back on this than they think they are. And that's the point I keep trying to get across, is that this space for what it is, organic needs to step up. They need to raise the bar, not lower it.
Right.
So I think it's interesting. What is, you touched a little bit about, people coming out to the farm. I'm going to ask the question, get a little deeper. How that make you feel when people walk in and it's like all of a sudden you look like you have cooties?
You know what? It wasn't. When they came to our farm, I was going to make them lunch. I was making them caprese. We're basil, growers. And
I'm on my way.
and please join us. But they came to our farm and they sat down for maybe 10 minutes. And then they said, we have to go. We have to go. Now, these are the people that I've been told lose sleep over us. I mean, if I got invited into a place that I thought was doing something wrong, I would have a long list and say, show me this, show me that. Where is this? Where is that? And I'd want to see those methods that bothered me.
Right.
They could not get out of here quick enough.
Wow.
And that made me sad. I was up here making lunch and it's like, nope, they're all leaving. It was like, what?
Well, it goes back to what I
guess-
said earlier. Well, look, we need to get a 6-pack of beer and some pizzas, and we all need to sit down and solve this as an industry. We all need to come together. We need, what we're doing isn't working. 10% are yelling at the other 90 again, and we're not getting along, and it's dumb, and it's going to be at the expense of everyone, including dirt farmers. They got to realize that they've got, it's going to be just as, it's going to hurt them worse in a lot of ways. Because this isn't going to stop coming. I mean, you've got cherries under glass now. You got melons coming out from under glass. Berries, look at the stuff that's out there. It's not going to go away. We need to.
We have
it.
local orange grove that is now under a greenhouse because it's Asian citrusilla.
Yeah, it's coming. So I mean, this technology, what's going on, and now with in California with water, it's going to become more of an issue. So I think Right. I hope everybody listens to this, forms an opinion, looks a little deeper. Send me an email, hate mail, good mail. I don't care. I'll talk to you. But let's have this debate. Let's get the right people in the room. Let's make a decision.
Absolutely.
I think we need to do it on behalf of what your business is and what you're doing. So let's get off this soapbox. I'm done. It's wearing me out. Let's move on to some stuff that's like kick ass and inspirational, getting the ball down the field. And that's you guys and stuff, because I want to get into this veterans and some of the different stuff we're doing, because it's so great. So before we do that, though, I know something you're super proud of is being a B Corp. Can you just touch on that, why that was so important to you and Colin to pull that off? Because that's a lot of work on top of a busy day you already have.
You know what? We're really proud to be a B Corp. We were certified through 2018. We were best for the world, 2015, 16, 17, 18. And then we just couldn't afford to have that third-party certification again, which we're just picking up again now. But we remain a B Corp. And the reason it really meant something to us is that we wanted to expand our business. But what we didn't want was somebody coming in and saying, oh, I really like what you're doing. I really like the name. I don't want you to be organic. Right. Yeah. Or, we're not going to hire, veterans or combat vets or whatever, And so with a B Corp, it protects your mission. Right. And it protects your mission far past you. And that to me is a really good, it's good to have, it's like we're a B Corp, period. And so if we sold our business or, it got handed down to our family, whatever, it remains with our mission statement intact.
Right. I love that. So it speaks to,
there's no benefits, no tax benefits or anything like that. It's more of a personal benefit to say, we believe in what we do.
I love, it goes back to what you believe in as an organic consumer, as an organic farmer, right? You're raising the bar. So if you're going to raise a bar on yourself, because we just touched on the fact you don't have to do it, you're choosing to do it because it's what you want to do. And it's the right thing, obviously, and agree 100% the right thing to do. This is another way to hold yourself accountable to a higher standard and protect all the hard work you're doing. So I think it's beautiful you guys do it. I mean, and it's not easy to do. I mean, it's a thing, right? You just don't wake up and go, hey, B Corp. No, it's not. It's a process and you're held accountable. And I think it's wonderful.
Right.
Yeah, that's really something to be proud of. I'm glad you guys have done that. Again, raises the bar and why I'm just so proud of what you guys do all the time. But let's do it. Here we go. We're going vets now. I got the red, white, and blue behind me. Tell me, you touched a little bit on Colin's service, and if you want to incorporate that into this question, that's great. And tell everybody a little bit about what, he was about. And we're going to get into a whole bunch of all that as well. But, tell me why veterans matter to you guys.
Well, we are a veteran family. Colin served in Iraq. He did 3 tours. He was part of the invasion, the Battle of Fallujah, which have still yet to be recognized by Congress because they couldn't give the entire battalion the Purple Heart. And so now it's going to get a congressional recognition later. And then his 3rd tour was Haditha, just as that became a hot spot. So when he came home and we embraced farming, it was a natural way to decompress. And it's not new. This was actually how we got BLM land, which is Bureau of Land Management. It was 20 acres for the war weary, which was the first way that they described PTS. And we don't say PTSD, it's post-traumatic stress. It's not a disorder. It's actually an appropriate reaction to horrific details, right? So people
very
coming
well
back
said.
with PTS, they could actually, excuse me, for
You're
Colin,
fine.
he was able to get into growing our farm, building our greenhouse. He did it with the blueprints, right? It was him and our Grove guy. And it wasn't that he had been in agriculture, but he knew how to read blueprints. We as a country invest over $1 million in every one person that deploys. And when they come back, it was crickets. In 2006, they didn't invest $1 in those that came back. Yeah. And here people come back and they are war weary. They do have PTS, and they're trying to find a way to meld back into society. And it's really difficult. And for Colin, he was able to get into growing. And it was awesome. He was outside. He was building the greenhouse. He was growing plants. And then as he was looking around at the people he served with, so many were re-enlisting, not because they wanted to, but because they didn't think that they could afford to feed their families.
Yeah, that's legit.
And I'm going to, in our little greenhouse, which our first greenhouse we built was 30 by 60 foot. And that little greenhouse, that nearly matched Colin's income as an E5 in the Marine Corps, rifleman,
wow.
Right?
Wow.
Staff sergeant.
Wow. That's amazing.
Or sergeant, not staff sergeant, sergeant.
You touch on, well, for at this point, he's Admiral. He's going Admiral Colin. That's what we're going to call from here on out.
He is here.
But, you touch on something, and I want to come back around and chat on a little bit. We spend all this money up front to train you, and as we should. Don't get me wrong. I'm not advocating, quite frankly, we should spend more and do better, taking care of our vets and our current military and their families and everybody that serves and puts their life on the line for us to be able to sit here and criticize those that don't take care of them right. But when we come back, we don't do anything. And you look at this issue, and it shocks me that we don't. It shocks me that we just kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater. And I don't know if that's because of how vets were treated coming out of Vietnam and this culture that was created with this negativity that war is bad and, all these things you want to throw at it. And war is bad. Let's get it wrong. I don't understand how war happens at this age. I don't know. Again, I don't understand how we don't sit down with the pizza and the beer. I just can't figure it out. It's so simple and it makes so much common sense. But it's scary that we don't do right by them. And I think we just do such a disservice as our country when we don't look inwardly enough at those that make sure we have the ability to look outwardly. So thank you for sharing that part of it. And I know that you guys, and I'm excited about this, but let's talk about the veterans' lives that you have changed. How many vets' lives have come across Archie's that you've improved?
We're easily over 500 now.
500 veterans coming through.
For us, I call us activist, not divist, activist.
Activist, I love it.
And part of our activism was that as Colin embraced this as a career, we were looking at people going back in, and he actually sadly lost several of his friends to suicide. Wow. And it was because they just didn't see a way through it. And so we got very involved with connecting with the military. And it was actually Colin almost re-enlisted. It was horrific. I did not want him to go back in. And he was going because he felt like his people were going back. He needed to be there with them. And so I said, no. I said, how about we teach here and we teach people to do what you're doing? Because, this is a very decent living. You don't need a lot of land. You can actually get into it fairly simply. And so he didn't think it was going to be possible, but we went to the WAVE clinic, and that's where we met a man named Gary Rossio, and he gave us a chance. And he said, let's see, because he had a lot of people that didn't know what they wanted to do with their life. They didn't want to be in a building. They didn't want to have somebody breathing down their neck. They wanted to just be able to work hard, right? They're used to burning, I think Colin was used to burning like 10,000 calories a day or whatever. And that doesn't happen when you're sitting.
No.
And so we created the Veteran Sustainable Agriculture Training, and it was known as VSAT. And so we took that to the next level, and we actually advocated with Washington, D.C. Now, I'm going to tell you, that doesn't happen quickly.
No.
We were inviting instructors in to work with our class, and we were taking people that hadn't worked, they're come back and they're like paralyzed because they don't fit anywhere. And I think it's a really hard thing, because when you're active duty, you have stripes on your shoulder, or you have medals that say how cool you are, or how badass you are, or what you've been able to achieve or overcome. And when you take that off, it's like you're starting from scratch, and you don't know yourself. And so, but I'm going to tell you, as we have trained people, we take them down to the farmer's market, and people come up and say, that's the best tomato I ever had. And they're like, I grew that. It's
That's
like,
awesome.
it's just that it kind of gives back that self-esteem of what I can do rather than what we can't do.
Well,
and so
it's amazing.
But through our instructors, we had Toro Irrigation. It was Ingi Busconer. She was fabulous. I was telling her that our students were graduating our class, but they were not able to use their VA home loans to buy a farm. And if it even had an ag building, the VA wanted them to tear it down before they'd loan them any money. And it wasn't that the VA wanted that. It was the bank.
Right.
And so Ingi put me in touch with Doug McCaleb, which was the rural advisor to President Obama. And that poor guy, I was on him. I was like, this is a problem. And so Doug McCaleb, actually, we went through proving that banks would not loan on a farm, would not allow someone to come out of the military and get into agriculture. And so we were able to take that all the way up. Doug McCaleb researched it. It has always been legal to use your VA home loan to buy a farm. And now, because of that activism,
right.
If a bank turns down a veteran that's trying to buy a farm in this country, if they turn them down, that bank runs the risk of losing the ability to give any VA home loans at all.
Good.
So if they don't give all of them, they can't give any of them.
Good.
And so we give a high five to
Yeah,
Doug
I mean,
McCaleb and the Obama administration for that.
Well, look, that again, we're doing something right, and why don't we want to do that? What part of that makes any sense not to be able to fund VA loans to veterans that want to farm when we have a declining farm community?
Right.
And where's our food going to come from?
And BLM land, when that was rolled out, that was after World War II, they considered it an emergency to teach people how to grow agriculture, because we had 40% of farmers in this country. Now we have less than 1%.
Wow.
If that's not an emergency, I don't know what is. And military, it's, talk about national security issue. Cut off the food, and now you have war.
Well, and that's a really interesting point. And that's a very interesting topic that's floating out there now. When you take a look about countries that are buying farmland, where they're buying farmland, and how this is all going to work itself out, how much you relied upon imports and how much is export. There's a lot for people to consider about when it comes to their food supply and what it's going to look like. And that's why, emerging ag technology is something we have to be cognizant of. And I'll be the first to say, there's some of it I don't like at all. There's some of it I think is crappy. Let's not even, no, this is bad. But some of it is like, it's hard to look away from. It's hard to look away. It's kind of like the vets, right? We look away from the vets. We don't need to be doing. We got a group trying to look away from this. We need to all be looking at everything, right? And these veteran issues first and foremost, no doubt about it. You guys have inspired a lot of people with what your work is in Washington, D.C. There's no two ways about it. I mean, you talk about David and Goliath in a lot of ways. And I know that had to be incredibly rewarding to you, especially when you have folks coming on the farm that are learning from you guys. And we're going to get into the Institute work a little bit here in a second. But I mean, it's got to just be something where you and Colin sit down on a Saturday night, take a deep breath and go, God, this was a great week.
Yeah, I'm going to say by that time we're exhausted.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's why I said you're sitting down. I didn't say you're.
But painting. It is great. I'm going to tell you, we've kept our school going. We just reseated our school at University of Minnesota Crookston, and we're really excited about that. But it has never been a moneymaker. We've never lived from the school. Right. And I'm really proud of that. Instead, we really were able to fund the school with our farm. Right. And so, as we've gone into different, situations financially for ourselves, the one thing we did not let go was the school.
Right.
And it was a real stretch, and it cost us a fortune. But I'm going to say it's not about the income. It was about the outcomes. And
Sure.
we have so many people that are farming today because
Yeah.
they took our class. We have Mango Mike in Japan, we had
I love Mango Mike. I have all his
Jason
albums.
in Alaska. We just had a student that went to Puerto Rico, and it's people that are going back to home and saying, okay, I can feed my community. And you know what? I'm going to say, we had a student that went to Los Angeles and actually took a parking lot and set up container growing and was actually taking care of the local restaurants there. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
And who better? I mean, was it Ben Franklin that said he saw America as a quilt, and on that quilt, every square was a farm, a family farm. Well, we'd like to see every square as a family organic farm.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Whether they choose hydro organic or they choose to go in the soil, we all use the same nutrients.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't stand in their way to do whatever they wanted. I'm just glad they're growing and that they're going to serve their own communities. I mean, that's how we all survive.
Well, there's no doubt about that. I absolutely agree. It's that coming together moment. Let's talk a little bit about Archis Institute for Sustainable Ag. Let's get into it because it's incredibly impressive. You're housed in a university of Minnesota, Golden Gophers, I do believe. I'm not sure.
Right.
An ag school with a Golden Gopher. I don't know. That kind of goes against the grain, but I don't let it go. So let's talk about bottom real easy. What is it?
So we teach from seed to market, and we teach from concept of a business idea to presentation of a business plan.
Yeah.
And so we have a 6-week course where it's a full immersion. That's Monday through Friday. And then we have a 12-week nights and weekends class, and it can be taken from anywhere. We used to have, everybody was in seats here on our farm, and they'd fly in from all over the country, and they'd have to have housing and this and that. Well, now through COVID, the gift of COVID is that it's all online, but it is with an instructor all the way through. So it is not self-paced.
Right.
And so it is like drinking from a fire hose. But I will tell you that when you get through it, we consider the first day of our relationship is on the day you graduate, because that's when you need us. That's when you need the team.
Right.
And as our students go out and they establish their businesses, we have some that have chose to go on and get their degree in agriculture, plant science. And we have students that have become consultants. I have one student that actually went to Cornell, and he consulted for people to turn their front lawns into their food. And so he would test the soil to see what they needed. And in some cases where the soil was so badly damaged by pesticides, then he could also teach them how to do a raised bed with cocoa coir and do a hydro organic bed.
Right.
And so it's really nice because it gives people choices. And so we have students that are just rocking it. We have one student that went out to Cuba when that was open and actually was teaching about hydro organics as they were teaching about their organic operation, because they had no access to pesticide. How nice is that?
Yeah, that's a tough problem. Yeah, well, we didn't have pesticides a while back either.
I know.
We're lucky we got them. We're lucky we got them in our generation, right?
Yes.
So how many is, because this could be vets who can join this if they want, but I mean, it's kids too. It's college kids. It's all walks of life.
Everyone is welcome. We've had civilians in every class since day one. It was all about reintegrating we have active duty. So that was also one of our wins. We did plant the First Lady Michelle Obama's garden in Washington, D.C. And the bigger part of that trip was the next day. We met at the White House with all the people that govern military. That was Frank DiGiovanni, who was the director of transition readiness for every branch of the military. Wow. And so we were able to work with him and actually he created a program called Skill Bridge. And it was because our students weren't able to get off time in the military to take our class so that they'd be employed when they left the military. And so with Frank DiGiovanni, there's now Skill Bridge. And whether it's agriculture or
whatever,
working on cars, whatever, you can now take that 18 months before you leave the military. you can take a class. And so that was one of our advocacy things that we were able to get. And now we have a lot of active duty that take our class, as well as veterans, as well as civilians. So
That's
it is about
fantastic.
integrating.
That's fantastic.
Thanks for joining the Todd-versation. And now, a word from our sponsor.
Hi, I'm Karen Archipley, President and CEO of Moxie Marketing. On behalf of all the Moxers worldwide, thanks for listening to Todd-versations and Todd Bits. At Moxie, we're known for strategic marketing and PR, unique branding and packaging, award-winning web and graphic design, and trade show experiences that generate results. Whether you're selling B2B or B2C, a farmer, processor, commodity board, retailer, food service, or somewhere else on the supply chain, we make it easier to grow your brand and your business. From avocados to zucchini and petunias to protein, we help you tell your story, stand out, and achieve your goals. Get Moxie, and together we'll celebrate your success.
I mean, once again, you guys are just knocking on the military door going, hey, let's throw some common sense and help people. I love it. That's just great. You and Colin are just kicking ass, and I love it. It's just awesome. And I know it's kind of a philosophical, whatever, 30,000 foot question, but why does what you're doing with the Institute matter from your perspective? Because, it's something you created. You've seen it from the beginning back in the, mid 2000s, and you've been through a lot of experiences in this journey, good and bad, and to the point of having, Colin having issues, friends that had issues coming out and not being served and stuff. So tell me, why does this matter?
It matters because no matter where you go in the world, you need to eat. And so to be able to take the training that was given in the military and be able to just redirect that into sustainable organic agriculture, we haven't begun to see the innovation that's going to happen. I'm hoping all kinds of innovation is going to happen, and that we're going to have fresh ideas, new ideas, but people that stick to the national organic program, right? You stick to the rules of the road, and let's see what you've got. It matters because we all eat, and we all should have access to organic food. To me, the saddest thing is to see a small family as they crowd around the table at McDonald's. That's not food. And I'm not putting them down. I don't want to get sued by McDonald's, but but
I've said worse about them. Don't worry about it.
Well, to me, it's like, I want to, if you can take that same family and teach them how to have a garden in their backyard where, that they can grow up, or if they can take, a piece of their land and actually now they're growing for their neighborhood, then we're doing the right things.
For sure.
It's not just like, just throw something up and it doesn't matter what you put on that. It's people paying attention to what's in their food.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's what makes it food. And to me, if something's pesticide, I'm not interested.
That's well said. And and I think it's right to the heart of what the Institute is, and the amount of kids and the amount of people globally that you're touching. And you're globally. I mean, you said Japan, you got folks up in Africa or Alaska. I mean, you're all over. And Mango Mike, come on.
I know.
You got to love Mango Mike. You got to love Mango Mike.
He's fabulous.
But to be able to give back in so many different ways that you guys are doing is just so incredibly impressive. One thing that I loved when I was, doing my homework and thinking about this, and is your website makes a claim that you guys will invite any store, restaurant, community supported agriculture, CSA, any aspiring organic farmer, pretty much anybody, to come join, come out, come visit, come hang out, come learn. Yeah. And that's a pretty bold statement. A lot of people don't want anybody around. People don't want to share secrets in this app, but you're like, hey, give us a call, come on out, we invite you. And that's powerful. Yeah. I mean, tell me what that means. Tell me where that came from and why that felt right to do.
Well, it's kind of our philosophy, I mean, give a man a fish and he eats for a day, teach a man to fish and he eats for life, now, he can share that fish, what I mean? It's like, so to me, we're not afraid of close inspection. We really welcome it. And we think it's, I guess, open source,
Yeah.
I mean, why not? Why wouldn't we share? I mean, there's a lot of people that don't have food in their refrigerators. We're blessed. if you can grow something and share it with your neighbor, then now we're doing something really nice.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, I mean, food insecurity is a big problem. It's another thing we don't talk enough about, right? It's important that we start to recognize that we need to solve food insecurity with good food too, right? We need to make sure that we're doing the right thing for the next generation and reduce healthcare and reduce some of the problems that we're facing today, because the fact we could all do better. Like, I'm looking in the mirror and say the same thing, like any of us can, but at the end of the day, it's like, we got to raise the bar to do better. And I think that's just so important. And it's just neat to see what you guys are doing. I want to talk a little bit about this. Let's talk Hollywood now. I'm gonna throw it out there. Let's take the big Hollywood equation. Let's talk about the farm movie. Can you share with everybody about what that is?
Oh, that was so fun. It was really an honor. I will tell you, we were called, I gotta get his name right. It was Sean.
So far, you're 50%.
You know what? It's Tribeca. It was Tribeca Films
Right.
had asked if they could do a movie about what we were doing. And they came out and they followed 3 students through our course. And it was really cool. We've had other really cool movies like BYU TV. That was another one where they followed one of the veterans through the class and he came up with the hot sauce. And this one, it was 3 different people. They had 3 different distinct ideas. And what they did was really focus on the full immersion of the class. And it was really cool. I mean, what an honor. Now we are talking to them about following some of our alumni and just following up and seeing where people are and following other students that are really knocking it out of the park. And what I love about that is it gives their communities a chance to support them.
Right.
It's letting their communities know that they exist. And I think it's really cool.
I think it's fantastic. It's a great film. I mean, it's really cool. It's really cool. And I think, as we talk about everything we've talked about today, for people to kind of say, hey, I want to get a little more immersed in this conversation, it's a great way to do it. It's a great way to see exactly what you all are doing. It is an open book, which is incredibly impressive.
And it won the GI Film Festival. We won the GI Film Festival for Best Short. Woohoo!
I got to tell you 2 things. A, I didn't know that. And B, I didn't know there was a GI Film Festival. I'm not going to lie, but I'm glad you won the award. Great. Yeah. See, I told you everybody, it's that good. That's awesome. That is super cool. That's a really neat thing. Speaking of which, and I don't want to miss this, and because it's in my notes, and I know it's something that I want to touch on. And I want to come back to the vet thing really quick. Can you talk really quickly about Stand for the Troops and why that's important for you guys? Because I don't want to leave that off the table. I think it needs a shout out.
Thank you. Well, Stand for the Troops. Elise England actually contacted us, and her husband had since passed. Now, he was very into agriculture, and he really wanted to see students come out, or people come out of the military and farm. Mm-hmm. And so that's how she connected with us. She is now, Stand for the Troops is our fiscal sponsor. So if somebody wants to donate, we're not a nonprofit. And it's on purpose that we're not, because we really believe that, be a business, be a sustainable business. And so we have the nonprofit arm is Stand for the Troops. And if you wanted to donate towards a student's tuition or helping anyone in our program, you can do it through Stand for the Troops. And they have a lot of different programs that they work on for people with PTS. And again, I don't use the D because it's really not a disorder. It's a natural reaction.
Oh, yeah, it is. And thank you for saying
things.
that again. Oh, that's fantastic. You're right. It is. And I think the word disorder makes it very scary. You 19 years old and it's dark out and you're in a place you don't know and people are shooting at you constantly day after day. And it's craziness. And in some cases you can't fire back. It's people need to recognize why we're having these issues and why these guys need as much, and gals need as much support when they get off the plane back in this country as we give them getting on the plane back, out of this country. So I think it's important we recognize that. Thank you for sharing about, Stand for the Troops, and folks can get involved, which is really, really cool. One of the cool things you guys have, which I want to talk about, is your Airbnb, which I think is a really cool idea to have on the farm. Because again, it's like, hey, come out and hang with us. We'll show you. You can probably hang out and not have to participate too much. But if you want to go to work, I imagine people can get a pair of gloves and they can get to work.
We're signing up for the Airbnb Experience, and we'll have our little small greenhouses. We never really let the public just trail through our greenhouses, but we have small ones that are labs, and that's for our students. And when they come on farm days, and so we are doing the Airbnb experience where they can come out and they can actually rent either a room or they can have like a private space. And then they can actually do some hydro-organic farming if they choose to.
Kind of
Or
a
they
cool
can
way to
just buy from the farm stand.
right. Well, yeah, but what a cool way to spend a week. What a cool way to hang out.
Yeah.
What a great way to get an experience.
Yeah.
To even, in a lot of ways to get on the farm, have some fun, learn about some new ag technology, learn what's going on, eat some good food. I mean, you're already talking about caprese for lunch, so people are going to, that's an expectation now. It's like it's a given.
Yeah.
But what a
That's
really
right.
cool, what a really cool time that is.
It is.
I can't wait. I'm coming down. We're going to hang out.
Absolutely.
I told you I'm coming down.
That.
I'm going to come down and hang out with your kids a little bit and talk to your
Do a
students and
live
see what
show.
about. Yeah, we're going to come down. Yeah, we will. We're going to come down and have some fun and keep supporting the cause and keep uplifting, because you guys are doing such incredible work, and it's so meaningful and it's so from the heart. That's what I love about it. It is all from the heart. It's
Thanks.
phenomenal. And I think that Colin's journey certainly is obviously incredibly impactful to that. Your journey as a wife, being here, not being there, and
Yeah.
knowing he's gone for 10 days, where, again, that kid walking in the dark, to be able to come back from that and give back and want to uplift what you're doing firsthand, because those experiences is so powerful.
Yeah. Thank you. It means
Yeah.
a lot to us. It is our
Yeah.
heart and soul.
There's no doubt. So what's next for you guys? Give me some of what's going on. Is there any exciting news? I mean, you got the gig going hard up in Michigan now, University of Michigan, which is fantastic. What's
really
new and exciting?
Well, for us, it's all about crops these days. And actually, it's kind of nice because we really just balanced ourselves out. We had, like I said, we had hit a couple of rough times. And it was interesting because I had a lot of farmers saying, well, now you're a real farmer because you're going to claim bankruptcy. It's like, no, that's not what we wanted to do. We work with a lot of small companies like ourselves. And so
Right.
to been able to kind of get our feet back under us is really exciting. And so we live by example, so we're rolling out, we have our cucumbers is our latest product, and that's really going gangbusters. I don't know that we're going to really want to expand. We used to want to expand throughout the nation, but instead we're just helping our students expand. We're just helping students. And eventually I would like to just be able to do a road trip and go visit all the different farms of our students.
That would be cool. That would be
And
a ton of fun.
That would be a lot of fun.
Well,
because we have some amazing, innovative people out there that are just doing it right.
Well, and I think when people like that get around folks like you as sources of inspiration and light and mentorship, those ideas have a place to just completely blossom and to get talked through and run through. And maybe they're not all great ideas, but they're in an environment that allows those ideas to come out, and you never know what comes from those conversations.
Right.
So I think that's incredibly powerful.
Nice.
This is awesome. What a great chat. God, I just told everybody this is going to be a great chat. I mean, you are so, what you and Colin are doing is, again, I'm going to say it over and over and over as long as I have the microphone, incredibly inspiring from so many different angles. From the fight, when you think about the organic and the hydroponic thing and where you've been at and how your company's been treated in this process, what matters by being a B Corp, stand for the troops, giving back, helping the United States government realize that veterans can own farms and do right and do good. And to be able to give them training prior to coming out of the military, if they want to get into farming or fix a car, whatever the hell it is, it's powerful. And you guys are just getting started.
Yeah. That's my cat.
You really are. You're just getting started. It's so great. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for being here. I'm just so thrilled. I mean, much love to both of you. And thank you for being a part of this world. It's, I don't say this very often, but I'm really happy to be on this planet with you at this time.
Thank you so
it's a
much.
gift.
Well,
it's a
I
pleasure.
really believe if we're not all in it together, we should all quit, because what are we doing? We need to find our common denominators and boost each other up rather than trying to tear each other down. I think that would be a great place to start. We
all have more in common than we have apart. And I go back to what I said earlier, that the 10% need to just slow down and quit yelling at the other 90. And let's just get let's grab a beer and a pizza, and we can do cauliflower crust. Don't care. Let's hang out. Let's hang out. Let's just chill out for a moment, find some common sense and solve some of these big problems that we avoid solving because we act like they're really big problems, and they're only big because we don't solve them. Right.
Right.
And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that we need to fix.
There's a lot of fear. I think the fear has to stop. False evidence appearing real, right? I mean, it's like, stop that.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
so
let's
what an
get back to a
inspiration.
positive note.
I am. 100%. Stand. So remember, guys, stands for the troops. Step up, check them out. Right. Go help somebody through their program. Why not?
Thank you.
Right. We need it. We want to do it. Thank you for what you do for veterans. Thank you what you're doing to help American farmers and farmers around the globe, men and women alike. And thank you for working hard at being organic every day. And the reason you're doing it is so valuable. And we appreciate you. Thanks for being on the broadcast. You have an open ticket to come back here anytime you want to talk about anything you want. Not a problem. Keep us posted, and I'll check on you guys, and you'll see me. You're not that far away from me. You're going to see me hanging out with you guys. I'm coming down for some basil.
Excellent. I love it.
Cool. Thank you.
Always welcome.
I appreciate that. Everybody, thanks for listening. I hope we inspired you today. I don't know what else I can do. I'm serious. I'm exhausted with inspiration right now. You guys, let's uplift each other. Let's do it. Use this conversation to have a conversation. Talk about it amongst your friends. Ask questions. See what they think. Let's start it. Let's make it happen. Let's make veterans' lives better through agriculture. Wow, that sounds like a hell of a good idea. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of our program every week and all that we do on social media. Check us out. That's where we hang out with the cool kids. I say it all the time. I appreciate all of you. Go inspire somebody today. It's really important. Hopefully we did it for you. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Bye.